You're watching the Green Machine, and we are live for this special preview. Special because I'm not in London and Martin is. Don't know where I'm going with that, but it's a special preview of Ireland against Netherlands, and we're going to be talking all sorts of stuff. We're going to be having a little chat about the opposition. Also, is this going to be Stephen Kenny's last game? And even if we win, is it still his last game? Tell us what you think out there on YouTube and Facebook land. Martin, how you doing? I'm a bit out of it today. I do apologize, folks, for my appearance and not as excitable nature. I have spent the last 2 days pretty much in bed. Not the way I like to. Isn't that right, Martin?
Yep. Yeah, France took its toll on all of us, I think. A big trip. It's a tough one as well, on our travels. But yeah, I think everyone's kind of got a little bit of a, dare I say it, a bit of man flu or tiredness. I mean, look, Dave, I'd met you in Paris and, you weren't like the vast majority of Ireland fans who, probably took solace pre-match in the refreshments that Paris had to offer. What a miserable place. I've always said it's fucking miserable. Sorry for the language straight away, and I've gone into one now. But fuck's sake, Jesus, what a place, what a country. Miserable sods, horrible people. I didn't expect this either, Dave. Sorry, everyone. Please give your comments if you're in Paris and give me your experience, because we arranged with London a pre-match. I didn't expect to do this. We arranged a pre-match, meet up and stuff. Booked a very nice, hospitable place. I thought that would be very close to the Parc de France. Collected the tickets from the FAI. Fair play. Thank you to Korea for sorting out all the fans. Anyone we met on the way to that, helped each other out. Very poorly signed. Everything was in some respects around the stadium. But anyway, went back to a place where we arranged our pre-match meet up, and it's like they don't want to sell you anything. Like
he was a miserable curriculum, wasn't he?
Miserable bastards. You tried to get a second drink. It's like, oh, have you ordered food? No, we haven't, but it's a bar. No, you have to order food, and you must order. Oh, miserable sods. And then got very confused with the bill and stuff, which is always the worry with this. But we're experienced traveling fans, and we know how that works. So we were kind of very conscious of keeping an eye on the round. Went up to the till, paid the round. The guy actually sent me through. He started showing me, oh, this one's all outstanding. I said, they're not our drinks and stuff. They do try and rip you off sometimes. So we clarified that. Look, we do have tables reserved, but just very miserable. And they said, oh no, we're not going to serve anyone till you all settle these bills. And it was about €43 or something. And I said, well, look, this is the situation with us. It's definitely not us. You know us. I was in here earlier. We sat at a table. There's 3 of us, 3 pints times 3. Very, very simple. People actually with us had food, but then, they had a whole table there were 16 lads come in from West London, and they started insisting that they had food, and they served them beer reluctantly or drink reluctantly. And then they started saying, oh, you have to have food now because we need tables. It wasn't at capacity. The lads just fucked off, and rightly so. I mean, they're just miserable sods. And then we went in there after the game, same place, all right, should have learned perhaps from that, but it was a bit manic leaving the ground. Thought we'd sit outside, couldn't get a drink in there, went down the road, got a drink there, but just miserable bloody people. They don't want to make any money out of it. They just don't want to make any money. Like they could have made 4 times the amount of, and I'm not like saying it's all about drinking or whatever, but it's just they could have made 4 times the amount if they had a real good idea of this is what these people want to do. Like you're just waiting around, and it's like, yeah. Well, someone even went up and said, "Oh, do you want me to get the beers off the bar?" Because they could see them there sitting there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they went, And they went, no, I will bring them to you in 2 minutes. And you're thinking, what? Why? Like, Jesus, I tell you what, we knocked Temple Bar with the extortionate prices and stuff, but they serve it out.
That was the same guy that, do you remember when I saw you and I went in and had a coffee, and he goes, no, you can't come in here. We serve coffee. I'm like, but no, we serve coffee. So I went, all right, threw it in the bin, went in, and you remember you ordered around and said, oh, cappuccino for Dave, please. Oh, no, we don't serve coffee now.
Yeah. Fucking weirdos.
Strange. I mean, I do. I love everybody, but Paris is always a weird experience. Like they just go out of their way to give you a hassle and shit. And the Irish fans are well natured and best fans in the world. The only reason why I say that because it was obviously a post that went up that I put of the Argentinian the away fans were chanting Argentina. And I put it up and it was like, I started laughing. Irish fans chanting Argentina. We're 2-0 down. It's a bit of crack, like a bit of banter. Well, everyone went mental over that. Take that down. That's embarrassing. What are they doing? And I'm like, hold on a second. And the guy that did, what was his name? George, was it?
George Kelly, I think his name is. Yeah, George. Yeah, he's a home and away Ireland fan. It was all a good crack. Like, he had his flag up and everything. I think this was a bit over the top, the reaction on social media about this. And and to be honest, it was from non-match going fans, I would say, largely, and saying, oh, a kid wouldn't do that, and what you at, and it was a very, very flat atmosphere. I did message you during the game. I know you mentioned it on the post-match show the other day.
Very flat
atmosphere. I think I don't know why that was. I think we expected to be beaten. I suppose. I think we didn't have any anticipation we were going to get a result.
We know.
I think as well, though, there was nothing very positive about the team or anything like that. I think there would have been a bit more of a buzz if Evan Ferguson had been there on the back of his exploits for Newcastle. I think that might, against Newcastle, that would have given us a bit of buzz and expectation, perhaps. But no one was expecting us to get anything. Had gone a bit flat. Very, a few songs were sang, the usual ones, but it was like a switch went on the 70th minute with 2-0 down, and then someone just started shouting Argentina, Argentina, and it kind of took off a bit. It was quite funny. I thought actually the French fans, they started singing back to us, Thierry Henry, Thierry Henry.
That's brilliant.
It probably didn't get picked up probably as much because of it was quite low key.
I didn't hear that until you mentioned it.
Very, very funny. And that's just normal kind of banter.
That's banter.
That's just a bit of crack. And
here's a comment.
The t-shirt thing holding up, like being called out for bringing that into the stadium with you, but
he only got that before the game, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of lads probably had different shirts with them because of the humidity and everything around there, and it was very subdued between the fans, and sadly, these away trips. The negative part of it was I have heard some stuff today within different supporters clubs of there was a bit of an element now creeping into our away support, which we don't get at Lansdowne Road. But there is this element now coming in of drinking, whatever else they're under the influence of, to excess and being argumentative with each other and stuff. And a bit. Now, I'm not going to do myself any favour saying this, but it's a little bit like the League of Ireland, the pyro and things like that. That kind of wanted to be a super fan, and we just don't want that coming in. And we're very good at self-policing ourselves over the years. We don't want the fans to kind of turn against each other, obviously. And there was no actual vitriol towards the players or anything about the performance. I think we just knew what was going on. But it's not nice to see and hear that interaction between fans in there. Like 1,700, we weren't even full our end. It was nice. The flags and stuff. I mean, they were very strict going in. The French, lots of security checks. I had my flag taken off me because I hadn't verified it before, schoolboy error, but wasn't too bothered. But yeah, that is something that does kind of happen. I think.
Here's some comments just about the Argent that have come in through. I know I'm breaking the rules here.
Yep.
Graham here. In regards to the Argentine jersey, people are so easily offended for clout these days. And Brian Wilson, good friend of the podcast. Some armchair supporters don't understand the crack at away matches, and we give out about and will give out about anything. The Electricity banter page was moaning about that, saying how embarrassing it was. Your name,
small time and things. Yeah,
I'm nothing against the Electricity banter page. I do follow it and some funny stuff on it, and share some of the posts, and they share some of mine. But it's like your page is called the banter page. It's a bit of crack. It's a case of it's not that we're trying to cause trouble. It's not that we're trying to intimidate them or whatever. It's Irish humor. We're fucked. It's over. It's 2-0. It's probably going to be 5-0 at some stage. Do you know what? We can't throw anything at you. What would we do? Argentina beating the World Cup final. It's that sort of ironic humor, that Irish ironic humor. Here you go. Have some of that. And he threw back the Thierry Henry stuff. It's
brilliant.
People just need to calm down a little bit about it.
Very light-hearted, not like aggressive. I mean, I've been at away games at Ireland where it's been quite aggressive between like the barriers and the fencing up between you, and it's like I'd say Czech Republic was very bad the night Stephen Hunt got sent off. Actually, actually at the end of the game, we were all leaning over the same barriers where we'd been abusing each other for like 90 minutes and shaking hands. that's just part of the kind of match going experience in some games. And
but
you know, I think that just happened.
You know what I had to laugh though? Like people saying, "Oh, they're embarrassing." I say, "Well, you had the game. Did you travel to the match?
Yeah,
You're slagging off fans that are paid the good money out supporting the team when you have lads sitting at home on their arse, not supporting them. You know, like
just thinking it's small time. I think part of them comments are that it is kind of small time, but they're not match going fans saying that, and they see that in the Premier League where teams do that kind of stuff, and it probably is small time. This was just a bit of crack and stuff. I didn't have a problem with it at all.
No, it's not. You know what?
And to be fair, the guy did it. You know, he's probably getting a load of abuse as well. Is you know, he's earned his stripes with Ireland. He goes home
Over
and away.
30 years.
Like one of the
Over
most
30 years.
like he's always normally with the Baron with it.
Is that him?
That's him. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he's normally and the other lads, you know, people give out about Jimmy DeBell. He was there, and when he rings the bell, and I've seen people give out now saying, "Oh, he only does that to drown out Anthony John Delaney chants years ago," and that's Jimmy DeBell's been going for years. Like he's earned his.
That's what he does.
You know, that's it. That's what he does, and it's a good crack at Lansdowne. You kind of know you're there, don't you? You're reassured.
Yeah.
All is well. Jimmy's there.
John Muckian there. How you doing, John? It was fine. I was there, says John Muckian. Of course it was. It was absolutely fine. If you're watching this, guys, and you were there, you know, tell us. Lovely Jimmy DeBell. So we have to call him. Right. We have to call him lovely Jimmy DeBell. You know, if anyone watching this, if you were there, what did you think if you heard it at home? I had a laugh about it. Anyway, I thought it was good crack. It was all in good jest. You know, look, it was pretty. It's pretty bleak stuff, wasn't it? You know, I mean, we never expected to win against France, arguably the best team in the world. Probably are the best team in the world, to be honest with you. You know, no one expected us to win, but I think we know that this campaign where it's gone, it's you know, we mentioned the other day, like it was quite flat, wasn't it? You said it, you were there, subdued. Never really heard any chance, like very, you know, there was no Stephen Kenny walking in a Kenny won a land or anything like that. No. It's just very
it was very, very flat. I mean, look, I think time will tell on this.
Very interesting tomorrow.
It will be. I mean, the singer section I think will consistently get behind him anyway. But what I would say is what I would say about the match the other night, like the expectation wasn't there. I think we've been a bit more realistic now. I mean, I think time will tell. That is probably one of the best teams ever that Ireland have ever came up against in their history. Right? I mean, they could have. You obviously were there, Dave. They toyed with us. They could have, if we'd have dared to kind of put in a kind of real physical challenge. If we had a Roy Keane kind of challenge, you know what I mean, and kicked off a little bit, there was none of that spitefulness. They were just a level above, and it's so in control of the game, and they are such a good side to watch. Yeah. And
doesn't mean though. I mean that's a problem now with Ireland, isn't it? You know, we talk about how this Irish team are so likable and so nice. I think that's a problem. You know, they're too nice.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, it's managing expectation. I know you've done a fabulous job the other night on the post-match review and the preview as well. Very enjoyable. But, you know, one of the things the context of it does come down to lots of our players are playing the championship or, you know, further afield. We are playing against players who have got week in, week out Champions League experience now. They're serial winners, World Cup finalists. They're at a completely different level. If it was like the FA Cup, it would be, you know, well, like Champions League against a championship side or first division side. That is the level we're operating at. And, you know, we contained them for a while. Their class showed at the end, but they could have gone to town on us. If they needed to score like 6 or 7 for goal difference, they'd have done it. That I firmly believe that. You know, they had to get a massive result against us. They would have turned it on and done that. So
no, absolutely. I mean, it was you know, if you want to have a look back on that post game, you can head over to the YouTube channel live, and you can get the audio version on the greenmachinepodcast.com, the greenmachinepodcast.com. Right, Martin, we'll move it on to Holland or Netherlands. Let's call them the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Netherlands. It's the first time we're meeting them in a competitive match since 2001. We all know what happened then. I don't actually have the footage of it. I left my hard drive at home.
Oh,
absolutely. Oh, no. I actually had it on the bloody thing. Oh, so raging. Sorry, folks. I must apologize again. I have been in bed for the last 2 days. Just absolutely dying. Heat stroke. If you were in Paris, you know it. It was boiling. Do you know, I've never felt heat like that. Martin, it's just stifling heat, wasn't it?
Mm. Yeah, it
But
really was. And I mean, imagine playing in it. I mean,
oh Jesus, yeah. Even at that time of night, like it was just. But this is the first time we played Holland in a competitive game since 2001. We obviously won that one 1-0. Last time we played them was in a friendly, wasn't it? 1-1, 2016 for the Euros when they hadn't qualified.
Yes, yeah, it was. Yeah, before we went off.
I was just looking a little bit through like the Dutch team here. This isn't. I know they beat Greece 3-0, and they're now on 6 points. And if they beat us tomorrow, they're on 9 points, and we're on 3 points. And we're pretty much out. But if we win tomorrow, we're 6 points. They're 6 points, and it's all to play for. And Kenny's still in a job. Now I'm just looking a little bit. Now we're going to get onto what Stephen Kenny said a minute ago. I was too sick to go to the press conference, so I do apologize, folks. But this isn't the most talented, shall we say, Dutch team, is it? Like I'm looking at players here, the goalkeeper, there's a Brentford goalie. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. You've got a young lad there, Feyenoord. You've got obviously Nathan Ake, Man City, 28. You got the lad at Milan, Dumfries. You've obviously got Virgil van Dijk, Frankie de Jong, the lad that you lot have been trying to go after. Martin de Room at Atlanta. Daley Blind, God, he's still playing. Daley Blind, former United player. He's playing at Girona, over 102 caps. Xavi Simons, 20. I wonder if there's anything to do with Xavi Barcelona. And you got Weghorst as well. He's on loan from. He's at Hoffenheim. He's on loan from Burnley. And you got Gakpo as well, the Liverpool player. He's only got 18 caps. He's 24. Like this isn't. I'd only finally kicked into gear a little bit, but this isn't a Dutch team to have you quaking in your boots normally, would it?
No, it's a team in transition. You got to remember Van Gaal has left now. Koeman's in there. Interesting that we have a bit of history back in the day with Koeman, with Roy Keane and Martin O'Neill, especially calling him out when he was the Everton manager. Expecting players to come through the door on crutches, declared unfit. So we had a bit of a challenge with him then. And what a player he was back in the day as well. Let's not forget. But they're not vintage yet. They're a team on the rise, though. You've got to remember they had a very good Nations League campaign. I think they lost in the semi-final of that, and then we're in the third place playoff of it as well. So that they did miss out on the big tournaments recently. So they're very much a team in transition. We've seen as well that the French absolutely destroyed them in the first games. They're getting their act together. That's the
4-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're getting their act together though. And big result that against Greece. If we have to be realistic, they gave Greece a hiding the other night. We struggled against Greece. That's really summed up our campaign so far. With the most disappointing performance.
So that's the thing, isn't it? Like people might drop in on this and go, lads, it was France. Like what do you expect to do against France? Well, no, it was really the Greece.
Yeah, the Greece one's the most. The Greece one is probably the turning thing with. The Greece one is the damning thing for Stephen Kenny. And I know the media are picking up on it. Damien Delaney as well, saying how he changed the goalpost and said it's all about qualifying for the Euros. But his record's not great at all. Like 4 in every 5 games.
I didn't appreciate Delaney's comments. I thought they were very scattered. Like, okay, we know it's all gone a bit P-tongue. For Stephen Kenny, but he brought up the whole Luxembourg thing, a few months into the job and all that. Like, oh, you're losing Luxembourg, it's not good enough. Thinking, hold on, let's put this in context here. That was at the beginning of the Kenny era when he was trying to sort things out. Let's there's plenty to talk about now and what's gone wrong. But I think Delaney is delighted, isn't he? It strikes me that he's
it gives you vindication, doesn't it? If you're anti a certain manager and you see him struggling, that's you vindicated in your kind of views, I suppose. I mean, look, I think that the thing with Stephen Kenny looking back is the Greece one was very disappointed. I think we looked out of touch there, didn't make changes quick enough, half time as well, made decisions. This left hand side is a big struggling area for us. But I think also Malta, I thought it was very interesting, that Nick on the post match the other night said about how we failed really to develop. I know he's capped 18 players, Stephen Kenny, but Festia Basele has been in squads previously and other players. Malta needed to be more experimental, and we really struggled there. It's not
We
as
all
if you
said
put
that.
out your best side
Yeah.
and you battered them 4-0 and you're going, well, what did you expect? That's our best side.
Yeah, you learn nothing.
No, you struggle to a 1-0 win there with a experimental side, and you go, well, that's why we only won 1-0. He did himself no favors with that.
Even if you lost both games, you're like, well, it's experimental side, but this lad here on the right or this lad here on the left, they did quite well. Yeah, it was so self-destructive that was, and we all said it.
The thing about that, Dave, is the previous results hadn't helped him, so he couldn't. He's not ever been afforded to have that luxury of being experimental in that game. He could not.
He could have been
lost to Malta. The narrative would have been. The narrative would have been, Jesus, this is a real shit.
No, I don't think so.
Would have, Dave. It would have been.
Not an experimental side, Martin, because it's an experimental.
It's a big argument, no, and it's an argument he couldn't fear. He obviously felt he couldn't risk with the FAI bosses, and look, we've seen how they
that's
operated with the but we've seen how they operated with the women's team. So he knows more than we do about what's going on in there, and he obviously felt he couldn't. But I think that was a wasted opportunity. Greece looked like we didn't have an idea of how to cope and deal with it when it started going wrong. And look, we could get a point here against Holland. We could beat Holland. I know that's very, very optimistic, but
delusional almost.
Well, everything's against us, and I know this is going to sound really weird. I don't know, Mr. Positive.
I did all this the other night, Martin.
Stephen Kenny has not had any bit of luck, and you just hope that something happens where it comes in the box and it hits off someone's ass and goes in, and we scramble a 1-0, and the narrative's completely changed, and we've got to beat Greece at home and beat Gibraltar away, and Holland away is a very important match. We have to look and be realistic, and we're looking at other groups now to see, because we can finish bottom in this group and still be in a quarterfinal playoff, I think it is. So yeah, we have to keep going with it. And sadly, we are. It is interesting. I thought Damien Denley. I know you said that you don't have much to consider what he says, but that he has this narrative of he knows what Stephen Kenny's going to say. And even Richard Sadley was very, very good. I thought, he said Stephen's going to say this, he's going to say that. And he was going to prove he was on the money with that. Yeah. But, now the narrative is he's brought in, Afolabi. He's had to bring in Sinclair Armstrong because we've got players. We are really, we thought we were very strong up front. We had a lot of, but he's really struggling now with injuries and stuff for players. And my only worry on that is, Scott Hogan has been in squads before. That's got to be the end of him now, isn't it? If he can't get in there above the two lads from the under-21s. Now, I know they've been with their respective camps, but I think, surely who else was on standby for the seniors? You would think there must have been others, or Sammy Schmodix, for example, and they've not brought them in, and they're bringing in under-21s. And is he just kind of throwing the dice and going, hopefully one of them will bring me a bit of luck? Or is it the narrative that we lose 1-0 and he plays one of them up front and goes, well, what can we expect? We had 5 strikers injured. What our main players, our threats weren't there, and we went with a guy who plays League of Ireland.
That's the problem. How's James McLean going to feel about that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See, this is why you don't say.
Sure, he's very
things.
welcoming. That's it. I hope he was very welcoming to Afolabi, and
it's not the lad's fault, you know what I mean? He's at the beginning of his journey, and James played in the League of Ireland, but I didn't get to the press conference. As I said, I was too ill, and yet again I must apologise, folks, so I don't sound my usual happy-go-lucky self. Stephen Kenny basically just go through some of the quotes here. So it's a great game. The game against the Dutch. Sunday night in Dublin in the Aviva Stadium. The anticipation. It's a sellout for a long time. People are excited about the game. It has a real edge to it. Well, yeah, it certainly does for Stephen Kenny. Holland have a great tradition. They've had a lot of great teams. Wouldn't say this is one of them. That was their best performance against Greece, the 3-0 win in the last game. They changed things around tactically, and he played very well. So it's a very, very tough challenge ahead against Holland. But one that we're happy to embrace and take on. We're excited by the game. Holland have players of the highest caliber, players with the top clubs. We've gone toe-to-toe with some of the best teams, and we must raise our game and get our best victory yet as a team. That's what we have to do, and that's the challenge for us. We know victory is important for us. Well, very important for the manager, if you're to believe what you read. We'll prepare as well as we can after just coming back at Thursday night. Make sure we're ready. The players are clear on how we're going to play, and we'll certainly be tested against this team. We'll have to match them, and we're capable of doing that. And we have to show the belief and conviction to try and get the win that we need. I mean, there's no point in being downbeat going into it. Obviously, and I'm just seeing some of the comments there, guys. Tell us what you think of Stephen Kenny's words. And the question I'm going to ask Martin is a question I'm going to ask you. 2 questions. If we lose tomorrow and we're out, is he gone? And if we get a draw but don't lose, well, that's why we get a draw. Should he go? What do you think, Martin? What do you think? And I'm asking you guys out there.
Yeah, I think it would depend on the nature of the kind of performance. I don't think he will go. No, I don't think he will go. Whatever happens, unless it's like catastrophic and we lose 5-0 and we look that we're dead and gone and the players aren't playing and they give up and stuff. And also I think the fans will be telling, because if it's 3-4, 5-0 and a really poor performance and the fans kind of start leaving in their droves, I think that will be a message to the FAI that this can't continue, sadly. Well, not sadly, I think that will just be a kind of view of how it is. I worry though about the team that they put a lot of exertion in the other night. We're out. Enda Stevens is out. So is Will Keane. So there's gonna be changes.
Who are we putting in left back?
Well, I think for me, I think Doherty's got to come in there on the left. I think Alan Brown played very, very well on the right. And
for the first half.
No, I thought he did. Well, he's up against the best player in the world, and I think he's. I thought he was one of our better players, and I thought Ogbene was very good. And Ogbene got man of the match, but I mean, there was some okay performances in there. I think though you go with Doherty on the left with now rather than McLean. I would do that, but because I can't see him changing Brown after a quite good performance.
So you'll think he'll stick
because the left hand side is the bigger struggle. That's the problem, and he will surely have had Doherty in mind to come back into that team. So after Brown's played okay there, I think, and the left is now a bigger problem because Enda Stevens is injured. Manning has a knock. You would go with, I think, Doherty on the left. He did it in Faro against Gibraltar.
That was a long time ago, Martin.
It was, but he can do it. He can play that. But I know that. But that, I think he would do it. Otherwise, he goes James McLean. It's very simple. So that's that. And up front is the big conundrum. I think he's probably he's got to go with Ida and Connolly and Ogbene off him. But that's it.
For me, I think he might go. I think he will go Brown. I'm not as positive as you are on Brown. I thought he had a decent first half. He got rinsed by Hernandez in the first couple of minutes. Fair enough. He's up against quality players. And then he started to give him a dig out. He played a part in the second France goal just after half time. But, at the end of that, I'm not having a go at Brown. He's not a right wing back. He's not a defender. And, he shouldn't be in that position. To be honest with you, that's not the player's fault. He had a very bad. He didn't have a great second half, but he had a decent first half. Unlike Enda Stevens, who was only on for the first half, and he was dreadful, and just really looked. He was getting beaten, wasn't he? Dembele.
Yeah.
He just, I was talking to a mate here earlier on, and he said himself, he said he wasn't even doing anything elaborate to beat him. He's just sort of going past him. Like, he looked like a guy. Like,
it shows you the lack of depth in the squad. Like I don't know. Did Festi do enough to go on the right? I don't know.
I don't see why not. I don't see why you don't go with Doherty on the left. I agree with you there. Doherty on the left, and you go with Festi on the right. At least you have two actual wing backs. Why not? What have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? Because you go Alan Brown. Alan Brown's a super sub for me. I'd have him in the squad. I know Nick's not a big fan of him. I'd have Alan Brown.
He managed the game, perhaps. Yeah, a little bit. I think that's why we have Jeff in there to contain and come on and when you're comfortably winning, which we're not often in that position, to kind of manage the game or just shore things up. But I mean, again, up front, it's a big, like Adam Ida, he probably can't do the whole 90. I think it's a big ask for the two lads to come in with their little experience really, to come in and do anything significant that's do enough to start. But it's an opportunity for them, and that's what I think Stephen Kenny will be saying to the lads is, Connolly, it's been fits and starts for him. It's an opportunity for you to kind of make a name for yourself. Adam Ida as well. Ogbene put in a good shift the other night. It's the quality though at the end of the day, and I really like him. I mean, but like let's be realistic as well. He kind of he's synonymous now with Ogbene, but like 2 years ago, no one really knew who he was. So. And now he's one of our main people, that we're reliant on.
If we lose tomorrow, do you think? I think I asked you this. Like, you don't think Kenny will go, but do you think he'll be pushed?
I think it will be. I think the FAI will have one of their famous reviews and start looking at things. But again, it's the option who's available to come in there, and that's they're going to buy time with that. Again, another factor is that without a full-time manager in the women's team and the kind of furor around that, to have 2 senior roles without manager, are they going to want to do that? Comes down to money. Have the association got that? They haven't. I mean, they're looking, as I think I mentioned before, they're looking at selling a season ticket for next season for ticket games they don't even know that we're going to be playing. They want a big name with that. We haven't got a sponsor. We haven't, we've got lots of games to come. And I think he will still get October. And then it'll be November might be where the changes are. The October games, I think he'll get, where it's definitely out of contention. Well, it's kind of out of contention, isn't it? Let's be honest. But it's November. And then, to November for the new guy to set in for the Nations League, if they're going to go that. But, unless they are just going to back their man and go, look, this is what we brought into. We do buy into the fact he's brought in 18 and capped them, and it's an emerging side. I mean, he used that word tonight in his press conference. We are an emerging team. Clever use of language there. He's saying we're an emerging team. That's basically saying in 2 years' time we'll be ready. Now, let's not forget though. He said again, Damien Delaney called this out. To be fair, he said that during the last campaign when we flopped and we didn't perform in the Nations League, that Stephen Kenny changed the narrative. It's 2024 we're going to qualify for. That's our big aim. And, he has put this out there that we're going to, it's the Nations League we're trying to win. Well, we didn't win that. Now we're going to qualify 2020. Well, we haven't. So it's 2 failures, basically, that he has put his name to. And he said, this is my team now. This is what...
And you said we had one of the best back fives, didn't we? Yeah. Top 10 back fives in Europe when you took over the job.
I think it has to also come down to the players. Well, like I've been unlucky with injuries. Okay, Bazunu, like we've chatted a little bit about the goalkeeper situation. I was chatting to lads coming out of the stadium the other night. Bazunu beaten for that goal. Now I thought it was a fantastic strike, the first one.
Yeah, he had all the time in the world though.
Like the one that was given offside, that slipped through. He should have saved that. He didn't. If that had counted, we'd be going, geez, what a mistake. He is under serious pressure now, sadly. And, I was chatting to people and they're actually, I know they're involved in coaching football and stuff at quite a good level in Ireland. And they were saying, my view is, he should flip that around, put a different goalkeeper in there.
I think so.
They think Bazunu is making mistakes, that the lads are losing confidence in him. Now, he's a very young guy. You can come back from that, of course, as Travis has kind of shown a little bit. Kelleher as well. I mean, they've all got mistakes in them, sadly. They're very young. But that's the thing now, again, that's, he's going to back him and a brilliant goalkeeper.
I think Bazunu needs a break. I do think he needs a break, and he does need to be given a rest. And it would be a rest because he's young. You have to manage that. He's not a seasoned goalkeeper. He's young. And look, he won't be at his best until he's like 25, 26. Then he'll start to peak as a goalkeeper.
A little bit like Kasper Schmeichel, I think. When he came through very, very young, and then he went away and he was at City. It didn't work out.
I think Travers
was very, very good.
I think Travers deserves a chance, to be honest. I know, like, he had an absolute nightmare in Belgrade against Serbia. But I think now he has to be given a chance, of retribution. And I think should be started. I wouldn't be giving Caoimhin Kelleher a start because you can't reward somebody for not getting a move, or he needs to get a move. He can't be sitting on the bench at Liverpool. It's not going to happen. Alisson is not going to be dropped, unless Alisson gets an injury. So I think I would go with Travers. I would just give Bazunu a break. He shipped 5 in. His head must be wrecked. And by the way, I'm not looking to destroy the lad.
No.
at all. It's just
and we know that he's got a very strong kind of mind.
But he just needs a break.
Yeah, it's going to become more and more kind of prevalent in the kind of narrative. If he has been beaten by long shots, that's something that is relevant to Southampton, but also Ireland, especially. We keep talking about it. These shots and distance. Has any other team conceded so much? You can't be letting them in. That's our thing.
Some dodgy goalkeeping. Shall we say? Maybe that's a bit harsh, but also with Ireland, especially with Ireland, it's down to the midfield not pressing. It's down to the midfield not being aggressive enough. It's down to them not pressurizing the team in possession when they've lost possession. That's coaching. And and your midfield, it's very basic stuff. Now, I'm not a football coach, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this. But you lose the ball, you win it back. You have to be aggressive. All the top teams are aggressive. You have to hunt them down. We don't do that. We're too passive. We're very easy to beat. You can just, we're too nice. There's nothing nasty about us anymore. We used to be very difficult to play against. All right, you might get a win, but you're gonna feel it. What else? They just kind of pass through us, and that has to change. And that is down to the coach. That is coaching. Because we're not doing anything on the ball, but we're not doing anything off it either. We're sort of just standing back, and that needs to change. Anyway, we're going to move on to the comments. Actually, before I go on to the comments, Martin, what's your prediction tomorrow?
I just worry about the lack of firepower we have. But I think we will get a goal. I think it'll be a set piece and stuff. We've not really spoken about the defense and things like that. Shane Duffy perhaps could be a threat. Egan.
He was on the press conference, Duffy, so I imagine he'll start again.
Yeah. I mean, he did all right the other night, didn't he? I thought.
To be fair, well, we didn't
big challenges.
We weren't playing the ball out from the back.
No. Yeah. So yeah, I think that will be a threat. So I'm going to go 1-1. I think we will get a result. I think we'll get a draw, and I think that I'm always optimistic. I'm never going to say that a team's going to give us a hiding or beat us. So I'm optimistic, and I just think that will allow Kenny to kind of live to fight another day, and still in contention. But it's going to be coming down to the October games. Massive game, that one against Greece now at home. After this, but I mean, if it goes wrong drastically, I think he's under serious pressure. What do you think?
I think it'll be 3-1 to Ireland. Sorry, not Ireland, to Holland. And
I'm the optimist. Hey, I'm the optimist of this pod.
Yeah, I think that'd be delusional. But yeah, if I'm being honest, 3-1 Holland, 3-1, 3-0 Holland, and I will be very interested to hear the reaction from the crowd. I think we'll see. I think tomorrow will tell. It'll be a weird one. There was no energy amongst the fans on Thursday. Nothing to do with just the heat. They're well lubricated. There's still nothing. And by the way, not having go to the fans. You got to give them something to cheer about, and we gave them nothing, really. And it was another one, wasn't it? They stopped the Mexican wave, which I thought was hilarious, actually. So yeah, I think it's going to be 3-1 the Dutch, and really depending on how bad it is and depending on the fans' reaction, because if the fans start turning on the manager, I think the FAI will change. That was the only thing that stopped. I think Stephen Bean shown the door earlier. Excuse me, I'm not saying he warranted it, but I think the fans were behind him. Like even the 1-1 against Serbia at home, we were terrible, but we got that last minute equalizer, and the fans were behind the manager, and that was a turning point briefly for him, and I, in my opinion, helped keep him in the job. Right, anyway, we're going to get into the comments, guys. We're going to wrap it up. I'm sorry, I'm not my I'm very unwell and I need to get to bed. Where shall we start? Glenn Forbes, good man. Glenn, where is that comment? There we go. Glenn Forbes, hope to see you tomorrow, Glenn. Great result for under 21s. I'm excited about players like Andy Moran, Johnny Kenny, and Anselmo Garcia McNulty. What a name. Yeah, fantastic. 3-2, 95th minute winner. Brilliant. I meant to watch it, Glenn, but I passed out. And not from alcohol. I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, that was a brilliant result, and you know, I would say we when I said when the under-21s were picked, it was an exciting squad. Andy Moore, fantastic goal. I mean, look, my little lad, as I often talk about him on here, he just said, "Did you see Andy Moore's goal? What a goal!" and all that stuff. I mean, that's what you want to have, and yeah, that's what I'd say. Get behind them, even you know they're playing again Tuesday. Get involved and watch them.
Yeah, absolutely. Kieran O'Shea, how you doing, Kieran? On a YouTube channel, clever the France fans listening to you, and we didn't think they'd remember. Is this it for Kenny? It probably is. Want him to do well, but that's life. Kieran, I think most of us did. Everyone on this podcast wanted and wants Stephen Kenny to do well. I can absolutely assure you of that. We want every manager to do well, but you got to call things as you see it, and you got to be fair. Got to be fair to the guy who's had a lot of bad luck, and he's had dreadful luck, but also he's made a lot of mistakes as well, and that's just being honest. That's just being honest. John Muckian, the last hurrah for Kenny, win or go home. Ben McManaman, will Evan be back for tomorrow's game? No, he's out. Long-standing knee injury. He did suffer it sort of flared up in a Newcastle game, but he's had it for a while. John Muckian again. The heat was a killer, especially for the first half. Oh Jesus, John, it was absolutely. I was so ill the next day. Bit of a cold and heat stroke. Horrible. Glenn Forbes again. Wonder what your thoughts are on Martin O'Neill's comments. I have to say from the interviews with Tony O'Donoghue during his time in charge, the subsequent interviews and comments, my opinion of O'Neill has dropped considerably. Thanks for another great show. Thank you, Glenn, as always, for commenting. Martin, did you see that? I think he said he doesn't know what the title for or what his job is. Goal. Yeah, you know, for me, it was to get us the championships. Martin O'Neill has to be the most insecure, sensitive, oversensitive manager I've ever seen or heard.
Yeah, but he did win European Cups, didn't he, as a player, which he doesn't mind reminding us about.
No, he never meant to play for Brian Clough.
No. Yeah, he's just very insecure, isn't he? But very disgruntled, just very, very bitter. I mean, we have to have a poll probably of who is the most bitter ex-Ireland manager.
Well, between him and Kerr, isn't it?
Yeah. But, you know, yeah, it's just a strange one. Like, you know, I was told I had to qualify for tournaments and stuff. But, you know, and that is I can kind of understand him saying it because he's kind of put in the kind of microscope in a sense on Jonathan Hill, because Jonathan Hill hasn't come out and said, oh, his remit is to develop players and we're going to qualify in for 6 years or whatever it is. You know, it's like he's kind of calling out the back of the manager.
But I just want to remind people, right? The last year that Martin O'Neill was in charge of Ireland, right, 2018, it was one win. I was against the USA. We lost every other game, I think, bar the Northern Ireland match, and I think the 0-0 draw in Denmark. It was rubbish. It was absolute pure dross. We lost Declan Rice. I think Jack Grealish had gone the year before. We lost Declan Rice to England. The player was falling. The manager, Roy Keane, was falling out with the players. It was rubbish. It was absolute dross. Why does he never mention that? He never goes on. He never mentions that, does he? He always goes on about, oh, you know, I got us to the Euros. Yeah, fair enough, Martin. And you did a great job. But you also, for the last year, you phoned it in. And, you know, and yeah, I mean, look, the whole thing with Tony O'Donoghue, what I will say there is, Glenn, is that, I mean, I like Tony, actually. I met him, lovely, always been nice to me. The match is not saying he's the best or anything like that, but, you know, nice, really nice guy. I do think, though, after the 5-1, Martin, when he went up to him and says, as you look, you know, we were shambles and all this, I think it was a bit too raw. You know, you've just been hammered 5-0 and, you know, 5-1, and he's going up and saying that. And then that Nations League, the inaugural Nations League, and he actually he picked out Tony, didn't he, and just lashed into him and then ran off. Yeah. He's oversensitive and he's very bitter. And what did he say in his book? That we didn't accept him down the south because he was from the north. What a load of bollocks.
Yeah, just a strange guy in a sense, but yeah, like, you know, very much with, you know, Delaney got him in there, and it was an interesting time looking back at it. Fantastic Euro 2016, getting there and everything, but
he wanted Stoke and Everton.
Back of that, yeah,
no, wanted Stoke and Everton, and it was the fact that, you know, from what I believe, allegedly, because they only offered him a 1-year extension because they were doing that with legacy managers like Sam Allardyce and all of that, Neil Warnock. They were only offering 1 year, and that's why he didn't take it. And he went back to Ireland. And that was it. It was done. So, yeah, we'll move it on. Got that. You had your rant about Paris. I had mine about Martin O'Neill. Connor, Brian, 4 decent touch players. Yeah, I'd say Connor. It's not a great, it's not a star-studded team, should we say. John Foy, we may forget about qualifying. Ooh. Shane Brown, how you doing, Shane? We'll win 2-1. Good man, Shane. Is that you? Is that your burner account, Martin? Festy and Chio to shine. Turning point for Stephen Kenny that we all wish for him and his young group. Beat the Greeks at home, Gibraltar away, and set up for a cup final in Amsterdam. Crowd will play a part in a historical Sunday night at Viva. Good man, Shane. Fair play. I don't agree with you, but fair play to.
I mean, look, it'd be amazing if it happened, and it could be the one that kickstarts it. So let's be positive, like you said there. Fair play, Shane. I mean, everything's against us though. Like missing so many of our main forwards and stuff, the goal threats, everything's against us. But you just don't know, do you? And I think even the away fans, how flat they were the other night. The home fans, you'd hope the singing section will get everyone going. Should be a good atmosphere, a late night kickoff. It could well be something special. You just don't know.
Who knows? Hopefully. I really hopefully it is. John Foy, Greece game was very poor. Shocking, John. It was absolutely shocking. I think they had like 8 corners in the first 9 minutes or 9 in the first 10. Like we couldn't get out. It's like watching Ireland. It was like watching Ireland play in the 80s under Jack. John Foy, sounds gone. Oh. No, that's an old one. Sorry, Nick, if you're watching. You just kind of fly through the comments, especially when you're not very well. John Muckian, that's a Champions League team regardless. Despite the Dutch, we lost to Greece away. It was a 40-60 game. Kenny needs to show a bit of bottle now and start Festy and Manning. Yeah, fair enough, John. Fair enough. Or Doherty on the left. But yeah, why not go for broke? Why not go with Manning and Festy as your wing backs? They are wing backs. Obviously, Manning doesn't have a lot of pace, but it is his position. Glenn Forbes again. I thought Festy episode he should have come on sooner versus France. I think it'll be 2-0 again tomorrow. John Foy, no, we won't be Holland. Jeff Linehan, very optimistic. I'm going for 5-1 Holland. And Jeff, again, we're utter garbage. No players. When you have League 2 players in the squad, you know you're in trouble. Might as well put League of Ireland players like Jack Byrne in the squad. Well, we do. We have Jonathan Afolabi, Bose. So, yeah, we'll see. Great if he came on and scored the winner. I'd love to see him run over to McLean. If he did. It's face. I kid. I would love to see somebody score the winner for Ireland. John Foy, Kenny said that about the French game. He did. Obviously, my comments from earlier on that I was reading, he did say that about the French game, but it's a great game, and we, it's a challenge and we'll rise to it. He says about every game, to be fair. He tries to be optimistic. Shane Brown, how you doing, Shane? We owed him one for Wim Keefe in Euro 88. I've never seen a ball bounce and spin like that one did. And the handball on the line from Paul McGrath's header. And it was offside, that one. But anyway, Glenn Forbes, I think he should be gone. But like Nick said in the previous pod, he'll see out the campaign. Did him on that?
Yeah. One thing on the seeing out the campaign is because then you avoid the compo as well. It's another thing you have to remember.
But is that I've heard?
Maybe there was something with his deal. Yeah, maybe
the rumor mill that once we're out of contention to qualify, they don't have to pay I believe. I don't know if anyone can clarify that. Please do. But obviously we're not privy to contract. It's just it's what we hear. Jeff Linehan. We did him in 2001. We did 1-0. John Foy, hard to say the way things is with the FAI sacking fair when she was getting results for the ladies. Pardon me, and qualifying them for the World Cup. Graham again. If he wins, he stays. If he draws, he will stay depending on performance. He loses, he is gone only if they have Carsley and Barry Murphy tapped up. Sebastian Knowlton. I'm of the opinion that Kenny shouldn't have been renewed following the World Cup campaign and thought that this lineup, I want to qualifiers for the Euros, was an excuse to remain on the job. Having said that, I can't see him getting the axe before November, mainly for financial reasons. Plus, who would be interim? Keith Andrews. I disagree there, Sebastian, because my belief always was, I think it was all of our beliefs here, Martin, correct me if I'm wrong, was that if he had a strong finish to the World Cup campaign, which we did, to be fair, then you could see progress. We knew it could be painful at the beginning, which it was, but we started strongly, so you saw progress. And then the Nations League didn't go particularly well, but you saw shoots towards the end, and then we thought, well, maybe this is it. This will kickstart it against France, obviously at home, and it didn't, not really. And then Greece away.
Yeah, we got carried away with the Scotland Nations League result as well, and look how well they've done since. And
5 out of 5.
That's something again. Nick said fantastically well the other night how experimental they have been as a nation, and now look at the fruits of that. And you know,
you broaden your pool. It's that simple.
Yeah, you broaden your pool, but also look at that Scotland game. I think I've said it before. I'm flattered to deceive. We won 3-0, but they had a lot of chances early on, and it could have gone very wrong. And yeah.
And then, we could have won the game in Hampton as well. It was a great game of football.
Yeah.
Right, just moving on to the rest of this, and we'll wrap it up. John Foy, again. And Kenny is sitting so long with bad results. A win would be great, but they're so disappointing. Brian Wilson, I think he will stay even if we lose, but we'll have to beat Greece convincingly in October and finish the group in third place with 9 points, which still isn't great, behind the 2 nailed on favourites. Shane Brown. Shane enters interim while Carsley guest review and offer. Duffer burned his FAI bridge, I fear, and but would like to see Duff get a shot in due course. I think eventually he is a highly regarded coach. 2-1 to the Dutch, if not more, from John Foy. And yeah, we're optimistic when it comes to the R. Yes. And yes, 3-1 to Holland. That's more like it. That's my prediction. And John Foy again, a good result here, and there isn't good enough anymore. Go. Shane Brown, if I recall, Scotland big win at home came off the back of mediocre outing. Yes, the 1-0 loss at home to Ukraine. Expect same tomorrow night. A big reaction, but they need to start like rabid dogs and get the fans off the seats a la Keane on Overmars. To be fair, the reason why that result came about, obviously was a bit of luck, as Martin mentioned, was that we were playing 2 in midfield against the Ukraine. We had Hendrick and Cullen, which wasn't working because Hendrick isn't that sort of player. And not having to go Hendrick, he's just not that sort of player. He's a bit of a luxury player. And then he went with 3 against Scotland with Malumbi and Knight. It looked a lot better. So just give a bit of context there. Graham O'Neill's last year and Mick's last campaign were pure dross. They really were. They really were. Paul McClinchy, the Netherlands are no great shakes. Start with a high tempo and try to get an early goal. Then a positive result could be on the cards. And it could be. You get an early goal. You get the crowd behind you. And that's it. Then you press on. Bit of lift in the team. John Foy on what Martin O'Neill said about not being accepted by the South because he was from the North. That's rubbish. We had Big Jack and he was from the UK. That's absolutely rubbish. Absolutely, John. And Jack came over in the middle of the Troubles as well. And Martin O'Neill's a Catholic. Not trying to get all sectarian about it, but you know what I mean? Like it's just a nonsense statement from O'Neill. Absolute nonsense. Kieran O'Shea, Martin O'Neill got Ireland to Euros, 52 nations, 24 qualified, well worth the millions to pay them. To be honest with you, Kieran, I think if he had stepped away after the World Cup, even after the 5-1 drubbing, and he stepped away, I think we'd all remember him in a much happier light. But I think he spoilt it with the handing in the contract, if we're to believe what we read, and also now coming out with these silly comments. That's just my opinion. Kieran O'Shea, to be honest, the national thing doesn't bother me. I don't know who's born in the UK or Ireland. Absolutely, sure. Look at Martin. Sure, we adopted him. Graham, Festy against Daley Blind would be my tactics. Yeah, the 33-year-old Daley Blind. Barry Doyle, are you optimistic about tomorrow? How you doing, Barry? No, I'm not. Martin is. We could be going out. There were 4 players. And you still think we get results. Yeah, and he also finishes up and goes, "No, they seem very downbeat." I'm probably because I'm not very well, Barry, but also there's not a lot to be upbeat about, is there? Our best player is not there. The results have been terrible. The performances haven't been great. Even the 3-0 against Gibraltar. I think it's all very down, Martin, at the moment, isn't it? It's not a lot to be.
Yeah, but like fair play, Barry, for kind of saying that. Like, I think we are. I'm Mr. Optimism. I think the fans have a big part to play, as someone else said earlier, and get behind the lads, and we might have an incredible night. Look, we're very optimistic, trying to beat Holland. Like I said, they're a team in transition. They're a top nation historically. They're going to have their players are playing in bigger level, clubs than our lads. And I hope now, after the other night, that the exertions haven't taken out of them. We have to really lift the team. And you don't know then what might happen, and we might have another famous night at Lansdowne, but hopefully, we're that's very optimistic, to be honest.
Yeah, very. Gavin O'Byrne, that's true about Scotland. Same as Luxembourg. Look at them now, flying. Kenny rightfully under a lot of pressure, but context needs to be put on some of the past results, not as damning as they originally appeared. Good man, Gavin. And that's what it's about. We're not trying to defend Kenny, like, we're not trying to, we just give context. That's what we do. Barry Doyle again. Ireland have had very good performances against big teams at home under Kenny. Now, give us your favourite Irish tune, with or without you. What's yours, Martin?
What favorite Irish? Oh, I'm a big fan of Grace. Of course, it's one of my favourite. I named my daughter after Grace Gifford, so that would definitely be up there. Christy Moore, like a bit of Christy Moore. Furies. I know I'm talking about artists now, but I'm gonna.
And you start what we started here.
There is a no. I know no. I was listening to it the other day. Oh, I have to fucking find it because It is a great song. Christy Moore.
So great, can't remember.
No, I can, and because it's geez. Anyway, I'll come back. Go on, crack on with the things, but I'm going to find a song because it is a brilliant song.
You've got about 2 minutes before I wrap this up because I'm going to bed. I'm bollocks.
Really good though.
Shane Brown, how big a loss is Mikey Johnson this win? A cruel time. He was looking at real spot. He really was actually, Shane. He's somebody you bring on if you're 1-0 down. Not a super sub. You bring on, really good lad. Just an old-fashioned winger. Really, really good. Cracking find, actually. And Brian Wilson, we live in hope. Yes, we do. And John Foy, Christy Moore, Song Jocker.
Oh, Joxer.
Oh,
no, it's not. It's not that. It's not that.
Joxer got stuck out,
yeah. Yeah.
Brian Wilson.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry, go on.
Go on. Brian Wilson is anyone else put him under pressure. Good man, Brian. That's number 2. But I'm sorry, with or without you for me. Dublin boy, so what can you
Pagan Ritual. It's a very good song, Christy Moore.
What about
Pagan Ritual?
Boulavogue or Kevin Barry?
Kevin Barry, yeah, that's the ballads kind of stuff. I could talk about all this all night, to be honest. Yeah, Chris,
please don't.
Yeah. No. Beeswing's another one, Christy Moore.
Jesus Christ. What about Bad by U2 and all these great songs?
Look at you.
Look at you with your
talking Christy Moore. You can't go wrong, Christy Moore.
Christy Moore.
Joxer, one of the best. Yeah, Joxer's a fantastic song. Great song.
Yeah, why not?
Give it a Last Jack as well. You can't forget that. That is underrated. You cannot find that. You can find it on YouTube and stuff. But I mean, that was a.
I have that on record. Just saying.
Yeah, and Under Pressure, obviously.
Harrison.
Liam Harrison.
Liam Harrison. Yeah, that's a great song. I remember hearing that as a kid in school. I was like, oh, that's rock and roll in school. This was the 90s.
Stuff. Was it? Isn't it Taxidermist for Rudd Hullet? Isn't it? Is that one of the lines or something? Rudd Hullet.
Yeah.
Pack
your, what was it? Pack your banana. Take a picnic.
Yeah.
It's fucking mental.
Yeah.
That was very good. And the Warsaw Pact. The Germans are looking for the Warsaw Pact or something. The Russians are looking for the Warsaw. A fucking great tune. So well written. Like I can't think properly, guys. I do apologize. I'm absolutely dying. And Joxer went to Stuttgart. Is that the one, Christy Moore? No. What one did you say, Martin?
Pagan Ritual is a very good song. Pagan Ritual is good. It's quite a good fun song. I think it's Pagan Ritual. Irish Pagan Ritual or something like that.
There you go. Well, the last comment goes to Mr. Barry Doyle. And actually, well, no. In fact, I'll go with Brian Wilson. But Barry Doyle says, I think we might have a big surprise in the cars tomorrow. Just got that feeling. Well, I had that feeling in Paris, Barry. And Brian Wilson finishes up. A song you don't hear much about these days, Celtic Symphony. No.
Look, I think it's actually worth talking about this quickly because I know you want to go down. But, two nights in Camden, they've sold out Electric Ballroom, which is a lovely kind of place, venue for music. But the Wolftones were there in November, and they've done the Friday night there as well now. So it's a big, big thing. I will be going to the rugby club tomorrow before the game, where Catalpa are playing. One of the lads, Brian Warfield from the Wolftones, his son Kieran is one of the lead singers of Catalpa with Phelan Warren. Good lads, good listeners of the pod. So I'll be going to them tomorrow. Brian's often there as well, so be good.
Brilliant stuff. And tomorrow we will be back. Obviously, we're going to have the pre-game live from Lansdowne Road, and we'll have the post-game. For the pre-game, we're going to have a little snippet. There is a conversation that Nick had with Barry Maguire, the Dutch-born Irish lad, who scored an absolute thumper against Celtic for SC Utrecht. and there's a great conversation there. And we're going to play the little clip actually on tomorrow on the preview, on the pre-game, I should say, when the squad is announced about 6:45. I was going to say Irish time, sure, what other time would it be? But do join us live tomorrow, guys, as per usual. We will be around the place. So you're going to be in the rugby club, Martin, about what time?
From about 4:30. Be there
About
till
4:30.
that's the
Yeah,
plan.
so you might see, if you see us anyway, give us a shout, say hello. And there's two more. Well, I'm going to read two. I'm going to break protocol. Right. I'm going to read two more. There's some interesting comments coming in there. Gavin O'Byrne. In height of Charlton era, we had a primary school play of Give It a Lash, Jack. I was Mick McCarthy, and he had to bite my mate's leg on the school stage. Give it a lash. You brought me right back there, lads. Good man, Gavin. That's what we do here. I love that. Barry Doyle. An Irishman should be allowed to sing an Irish song. Last comment to Doyle. Good man. John Foy, thanks guys for the podcast. Our pleasure, John. We love you guys. We really do. And Shane Brown, thanks for the podcast. Tremendous service for fans. I'm based in Tampa, Florida, but love the chat. Best of luck to you and to the Republic. Good man, Shane. And that is it. We have fans all over the world. And thank you so much. Without you guys, we're absolutely nothing. So thank you for your support. If you don't follow us, guys, already, head over to Facebook, head over to YouTube. Give us a cheeky little subscribe over there, and you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And please go to the podcast page. That is greenmachinepodcast.com. greenmachinepodcast.com. We will be live tomorrow, 6:45, the pre-game show, and then we will be live again straight after for the aftermath. Literally about 5 or so minutes after the final whistle tomorrow. We're going to let it simmer down a little bit. We'll see what the reaction is, and we will take your comments. We want to hear what you have to say. And why is that, Martin? What are we? What is the Green Machine?
We're the fans' most interactive podcast, aren't we?
And we are. And we are the voice of the fans. We let you have your say, and we let you have your opinion. And here's my opinion. I'm going to bed because I'm not very well. And I'm hopefully going to be nice and fresh because I have a feeling tomorrow I'm going to be up in the media section for a very long time after kickoff. I just have that feeling. Anyway, lads, thank you so much again. And honestly, your support has been absolutely amazing, and we cannot tell you how much we love you, and we cannot tell you how much we appreciate it. So good night wherever you are, safe home, and God bless.